Okay, let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that you want to do with your polymer clay is condition it. And so you're just going to slice it up into little pieces, and you're just going to twist and kind of mix it up really good. Almost like you're making biscuits or something. This is going to take a little while. Just going to knead it until it's kind of soft and pliable and until it doesn't crack. You're going to do that with each of your pieces. Now if you have a pasta maker, you can use one of those, but again, once you've used it for clay, you can't use it for the kitchen, and they're kind of an expensive item. Now what I'm trying to do is show you something that you can make with the least amount of expenses possible. There's just not much here that you're investing in except for the clay. And most of these other household items should just be lying around the house. Now I've done this on the other pieces. Make sure that your blade is clean because you don't want to carry your colors over and contaminate your colors. Now you can see that some of the colors left on my hands. So before I want to go back and work with these other colors, I'll probably go wash my hands and make sure that they're nice and clean because I don't want to get these other colors mixed, at least just quite yet. The next step is you're going to want to roll out your pieces. And I've got a deck of cards here, and that just kind of helps me measure the height. And I have about 6 cards here on each side. I've got a clean piece of white paper that's going to give me a smooth surface and a clean surface. And so I just taken my piece and I've lined it out. Make sure your roller's clean before you go to the next color. Just line it out and roll it out. Okay, so we've got our 3 pieces rolled out. Now to make kind of a variegated design, I'm just going to stack them like that, and then I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to restack it. So I have that kind of design. I'm going to cut that. And I never quite know what I'm going to end up with when I start out, but that's kind of the fun of it. You just keep going until you see something that you like. Okay, I'm going to roll these out. And if you like that, you could use that as your pattern. What I've done here is I've just simply folded it over, and I'm going to roll it some more. And that's going to kind of blend the shades a little bit more. I'm going to just keep folding and rolling. Again, I'm getting different shapes on different designs on different sides. I kind of just decide what I like. Mix it too much. If you keep rolling and going, you'll end up with gray. You'll just blend all the colors together. Sometimes I'll take and slice it and try to get different shaded patterns that way. I'll just play around with it until I get something I really like. Again, the next step is to cut out your design out of the clay. Now if you have cookie cutters, that's nice, but again, they cost money. And again, we're trying to do things that don't cost money. You might have an old earring pattern that you could use. You can simply draw your own leaf pattern and cut it out of paper. You're going to lay the pattern down. And again, you're just going to play around with what you think might look good. And then you're just going to trim it out with your razor blade. Now this is a hobby you can spend a lot of money on, but you don't have to. Again, I like the challenge of trying to make something with as little resources as possible. Now, I don't think that you have to match the patterns up exactly, but I like to make them at least somewhat similar. But again, that's just your preference. And again, this is your design and your creativity. Do it your way. Okay. So now I have my 2-leaf patterns. There we have. Now with the pieces that are left, I'm going to make a little matching ball to go with the leaf part. I've got my 2 balls, my 2 leaves. You can use one of my findings. Again, you can either buy these or you can buy the 20 gauge wire and just clip your own length. Now I'm going to use this to punch a hole at the top of my leaf, each leaf. That's how I'll connect it. I'm also going to punch a hole through each ball, and that's again where my wire will go. Now it's ready to bake. You can bake them flat if you like. What I like to do is add a little bit of shape and design. So I'm going to twist it a little bit. You can use pieces of aluminum foil to give your shape some hold. So you can just kind of place it in there and twist it however you like. I'm going to bake for about 25 minutes at 275 degrees. And we'll see what we end up with. Just a couple more steps and we're done. I've taken the earrings out of the oven. They bake for 25 minutes. And you can see they're rather stiff. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of floor finish in there. Just going to twist that around, make sure they're very well covered. I've applied the finish. Now the last little bit is just to assemble the pieces. String the bead on. Now we're going to trim it back a little bit so we have just enough to make our one last little loop. Tie it to the earring hoop. Okay. Voila!